Distinguished partners, right? So Dr. Tata, Sabine from UNASCAP, our chairwoman, Marianne Tsao, our distinguished SSA partners who are here, government partners like AIC and the ministries who are here. Welcome everybody to our first longevity discourse day. I would invite all of us to be half the professionals that we are in this room. But I think like what Ron just said, the other half, I think most of us are looking after children, looking after parents, looking after grandparents, to also wear that hat of a person who probably is inherently inserted into a family that is intergenerational. Why is this particularly important at this point in time? I have just one slide, and it's this slide. It's one that any demographer, anyone who's ever worked in population aging would have seen to death, right? But there's just one illustrated principle in this slide. This is Singapore. In the 60-year journey, this is Singapore's 60th anniversary. This is a snapshot, essentially, of the demographic change in Singapore over the 60 years from the time when we gained our independence to where we will be today in a few years. You will see that we've gone from a traditional sort of a pyramid structure to something that looks like a barrel or a rectangle. What this actually points out is, for many countries, and you will hear this from our UNASCAP partners who are undergoing a demographic transition, this is the kind of change in shape that you will see actually in every single country. But what does it actually tell you? For the first time in human history, many different age groups are sharing the same space together of roughly the same size. All through human history, right, we've been very used to the idea of there being this pyramid. Lots of young people. So invest in the young people, educate them. They're going to be the future, the economic engine of the country, the future of society. This is how you build up your society. When you have a barrel-shaped structure, what you're really, really looking at are multiple generations sharing all the same space at the same time. Multiple generations also asking the question of how will you make me relevant in this society that I'm living in now? Just because I'm 40, I'm 50, I'm 60, I'm 70, and 80, or I'm 90, does that mean my time is past? This is no longer the land of just the youth. This is an era where any country, basically, that has succeeded economically is called upon, actually, to use all these resources at hand to build that new society. Aging and development is a very complicated and difficult concept now. The United Nations, Tsao Foundation, HelpAge International, the various international networks, including our Alliance for Longevity Asia Pacific that Tsao Foundation hosts, have been working on this issue of aging and development for a very long time. Aging and development is a core component, essentially, of the upcoming 5th review of the Madrid International Plan for Action on Aging. Countries are called upon, actually, to think about aging and development, as they've been called to do for over 20 years. But I want to reflect on one thing. Aging and development is not simply about aging and national development. It's not simply about what's good for the country. Because one of the things that we have been hearing, Sabine and I were both in Rome for a special Vatican symposium, basically, on aging and memory and population aging, understanding a little bit better, actually, what population aging means for the global fraternity, working in population aging, but also living through the experiences of aging. That particular symposium would have been hosted by Pope Francis had he lived, but he died a week before the symposium actually happened. But the symposium carried on because it was in his will that it should carry on. And actually, in his message, what he made clear was this. Aging and development actually kind of has, I'm paraphrasing here, has got two components to it. It's got obviously this national agenda that we all are anxious about, that we want to deal with, that we feel is of vital consequence to the environment and the society that we live in. But aging and development has a second component to it, the personal development of a person who's getting older. What Pope Francis, in a sense, was asking in that statement of his was, what does my frailty mean to the world? He's talking about his last year of life. I am the way I am. I offer something to the world. What meaning will you give me? And what meaning will I give the world, given the state of suffering, anxiety, and yet the desire to contribute that I continue to hold? Emmy here, who will be on one of our panels, you will recall that there's this book in Japan, roughly titled, I Am Now 90 and So What? Right? And this is precisely the question that we're kind of asking here. Why would you want to be 90 years old? Why would you want your grandmother or your mother to be 90 years old? We've looked after people who are 90 years old. They have a lot of challenges. I've also heard from some of our SSA colleagues this morning as well about cases that they've been looking after, the challenges of working with these people, and then the family struggling with these people as well. What is the meaning of being 90? How do you have an active, meaningful life at 90? That still makes sense. It makes you want to continue living rather than just sitting there and saying either one, to a nursing home, please store me away safely, or two, very unfortunately, in my view, the Assisted Dying Act in the UK has just been passed. So two, maybe I just go and kill myself because my life has no more meaning anymore. An intergenerational society, and I think we will sort of hear this from Professor Vivian Liu, I think she will sort of articulate a concept that actually, to use an old East African saying, the Ubuntu idea, we are people only because of other people. Intergeneration is not a program. Intergenerational is not a policy decision. Intergenerational is not sets of activities that we sort of throw together. Intergenerational is what we are. This is the world that we are in. And if we don't understand and we cannot get the different generations to meet each other as human beings, we're going to have a problem. A person is a person only because of other people. So that 90-year-old can only have a meaningful life if that 90-year-old basically is able actually to be healthily dependent on other people. Healthy aging is about independence, but healthy aging also at some point needs to have this element of healthy dependency also that we need to work through. There's an element actually of how we are all interdependent on each other that will form the basis of the values of the kind of society that Asia Pacific will become and that Singapore will become. Without this, longevity has no meaning. Longevity will not be an opportunity, it will be a burden. So let's build a society. So I'm going to end this here by saying one last thing. Today is a conversation. We have no answers. We have certainly no perfected panels or presentations. Please treat this as a conversation. This is not about Tsao Foundation leading anything. What we want actually are networks, partnerships, people to come together, to talk, to build, to work on this thing so that we build a society that is actually meaningful in longevity and not just what intergen activity have you run, which old people and young people have you thrown together. That's not what we're talking about here. Let's have a conversation through the whole day with the panel, with the panelists, with the lecturers, and try to work out for ourselves in Singapore what kind of society we want to build here. What is the values base to the society we want to build? And then more broadly, how we work together on this as professionals, but also as people actually who participate in and live in an intergenerational society. So I invite you all to converse and to enjoy the day. Please enjoy. That's the most important thing that you can do. Okay? Thank you very much.